Hello! Welcome to another Girls Frontline 2 video. I hope you are well. Today, I want to talk about a Makiatto build. Yes! A tactical doll build. Without prolonging the intro that much, let's get on with the first strike Makiatto build. Let's talk about the build requirements first. You need a Makiatto. Of course, it does not matter whether she is segmented or not. For her gun, you need either Bittersweet Caramel or Samosek. Attachment set is Freeze Boost. As for the fixed keys, you need Absolute Concentration, Heated Caramel, and Ice with Milk Foam. For the attributes, Crit Rate, Crit Damage, Attack, and Health are your friends. Let me share the details for each build item. Of course, you need a Makiatto for this one. I would say you need a Segment 2 for Makiatto, but you don't really need to. Even Segment 0 or Segment 1 is enough. For Makiatto's gun, you want either Bittersweet Caramel or Samosek. Both Bittersweet Caramel and Samosek gives you additional 25% crit damage. I mean, you like big damage, right? Bittersweet Caramel if you want a direct increase to Makiatto's freeze damage and additional damage trigger buff for every 4 damage instances outside of her turn. It can ignore 10% of the enemy's defense, and if they have freeze debuffs, it can ignore 20% of the enemy's defense instead. Since this is Makiatto's imprint weapon, she deals more damage to Paradeus by 2.5%. It is great, but you can let go of it, since you are not fighting Paradeus all the time. However, if Makiatto attacks an enemy with Frozen debuff, she deals 2.5% more damage to them. Pretty cool, huh? Samosek is also a good rifle for Makiatto since it increases her pace damage, which is freeze. It has a good weapon trait of ignoring stability index with or without the insight buff. Samosek is another weapon applicable for Makiatto since Bittersweet Caramel is only accessible during its limited procurement banner, while Samosek is always accessible either through standard procurement or the neural integration tab at the shop's trading post. If you don't have Bittersweet Caramel, you can settle for Samosek temporarily. As for the attachment set, I recommend Freeze Boost. Almost 99% of the time, Makiatto deals freeze damage to her enemies due to her interception and cold precision shot. The 1% is when Makiatto has to use professional tactics. Freeze Boost is great because it increases Makiatto's damage immediately without having to meet conditions, compared to other attachment sets like Double Strategy, Pace Strike, or Pace Resonance. Not to throw shade at them, but they are also great if you don't have good Freeze Boost attachments. So go get your Makiatto's 20% damage increase from the Freeze Boost attachment set. Fix Keys: Absolute Concentration, Heated Caramel, and Ice with Milk Foam. Absolute Concentration because you want that early 10% attack boost on Makiatto at the start of a battle. The attack boost will be lost permanently during the battle if Makiatto gets damaged even just by 1% of her HP. So, you gotta be careful by not putting her in harm's way because she is fragile with this fixed key. Since Makiatto gets a frost barrier whenever she uses absolute mental defense, she can take advantage of the barrier to prevent reducing her HP whenever she gets attacked. Losing a part or the whole barrier does not remove the 10% attack boost as long as Makiatto's HP is untouched. Try to maintain Makiatto's HP at 100% so that you can keep using Absolute Concentration. Heated Caramel. It guarantees either a 20% or 30% damage increase for Makiatto against the enemy with the highest HP in a battle by applying a negative effect called Murderous Intent. It has a similar effect with Makiatto's passive skill Battlefield Insight. Losing the Ignore Stability Index buff, no need to apply Frozen or Frigid debuffs, enemy takes 20% damage more if Makiatto attack them with freeze bullets, or enemy takes 30% damage instead if they have freeze weakness exploited by Makiatto. The thing about Heated Caramel fixed key, it is used against one enemy only during the battle. It is a permanent negative effect on the enemy with the highest HP, and it can never be cleansed. It is useful against the boss fights since they are guaranteed to get that effect. The downside of this fixed key is Murderous Intent can only be applied once. And if the enemy who has the effect gets eliminated, the effect can never be transferred to another enemy. It is a great fixed key though, as it is all about big damage. Ice with Milk Foam. This fixed key gives Makiatto full confectance at the start of a battle. It is great because you can let Makiatto use her cold precision shot 3 times in a row after using her absolute mental defense, reducing the need to use professional tactics immediately after a single non-elimination cold precision shot, and prevent losing stacks of Makiatto's cold conviction. And here we are at the attributes. First of all, crit rate. You only need 40% more to make your Makiatto get 100% critical rate. Once you do that, your Makiatto will always deal critical damage to her enemies. Crit damage is the next attribute. Make sure her muzzle attachment has a crit damage attribute. It comes in handy for improving Makiatto's damage. Attack is the most important attribute of all. You need it since almost everything scales on the attack attribute. It improves the amount of frost barrier Makiatto gets, which means she is less likely to lose her absolute concentration and interception. Whether you get an attack flat or attack boost, either attribute is fine. HP is another attribute to get, because it can also increase the amount of frost barrier Makiatto gets, because her own HP serves as a maximum shield cap for the frost barrier. Let's talk about the strengths of this build. Makiatto as a tactical doll is already strong enough herself even without fortification or fixed keys due to her base kit. This makes her even more powerful with the added enhancements. Her weapons of choice gives her access to bonus critical damage and can ignore an enemy's defense or stability index. She gets to fully utilize the use out of the freeze boost attachment set. Her fixed keys give a significant power boost to Makiatto due to her having a temporary attack buff, starts with full confectance index, and she hits harder to enemy elites or bosses. Makiatto can easily reach 100% critical rate, easily making her one of the hard-hitting tactical dolls with guaranteed critical hits, and she also benefits from the HP attribute as well. Next is the build's weaknesses. Makiatto is a limited tactical doll. Kinda hard to get her since you will have to wait for her rerun. Same goes for her Bittersweet Caramel. It is a limited weapon, not easily accessible. If your Makiatto uses Samosek as her gun instead, she gets no benefit from the electric damage and imprint boost. The 3 fixed keys mentioned are essentially one-time use. Absolute concentration is lost permanently once Makiatto takes any HP damage. Heated Caramel is only applied to one enemy, and Ice with Milk Foam gives you 3 confectance index only once. So you have to make it work on the first few turns of Makiatto to fully utilize this build. Another weakness related to fixed key Heated Caramel is that it cancels Makiatto's imprint boost and weapon trait, since it requires the enemy to have freeze or frozen debuff. One of Makiatto's enemies will always be immune to both frozen and frigid debuffs while using Heated Caramel. Now that you have learned all about the build's requirements, details, strengths, and weaknesses, hopefully this helps you in knowing what you are going into. I hope this shed light or help you in making a build for your Makiatto. She is one of the best tactical dolls in my opinion. She can attack enemies during on out of her turn as long as she has the frost barrier. She deals more freeze damage against enemies with freeze debuffs. She can stop the enemy's advance by slowing them down, and she is one of the few tactical dolls you can have 100% critical rate easily. She is awesome. Making a build for your tactical doll certainly takes time and resources, but once you have all the stuff that you need to make it happen, it is really worthwhile. As usual, this build video is just another opinion of mine at the end of the day. It is made to help other commanders and entertain you, the awesome viewer. Hopefully this was able to help you out or explore other options for your Makiatto. There are so many ways to create a build for your tactical dolls, whether they perform at their best during earlier turns or during late turns. Well, that will be all for my First Strike Makiatto build. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are enjoying Apelion Part 2 also. And for that, I shall leave it here for now. Thank you for hanging out and I hope you will have a nice day. Later.